Name change.
So, it's June, and being June means I have to have a new theme for my streams. And I've already announced in the previous streams the theme for June is going to be just ... So I'll pick a sort of episode theme, per episode theme. In this case, the theme is going to be, just miss the cut, things that didn't make the May streams because I either ran out of time or couldn't quite fit them in. There's a massive list of such things. I'm not going to do them all, but there are certain ones, especially the bug fixes, some of the X68K things, I'd really like to look at. So I thought, before I properly figure out my actual schedule for June and the different episodes and write them all up, I'll just get a few of these done that I really should have probably managed to do in other episodes, but just didn't find space for them, didn't find the time for them. So yeah, I've got Dynamite Ducks on to start with, and I guess you can just guess from the fact it's got Dynamite into the title, this is one of the ones I was going to maybe cover more extensively with the Miss Dynamite stream, but in the end I kind of just didn't feel the game is explosive enough. The title's got Dynamite in it, but compared to some of the other games I looked at, this one, it's not that explosive, although it's a fun little game. Although, as asked in the chat, I survived Final Lap Cow. It says, I survived containment. But, not Final Lap. There'll be Final Lap in a bit. Yes, wonderful. But yeah, so, yeah, I think that explains things. For the rest of the month, I'm going to look at other things, maybe a Just Sega stream, a Just Bad Games stream. just one more credit stream. You know, the ones where you just keep inserting credits and you just want to keep going through them. Well, you know, I'll work it out in the coming weeks, or you know, week or so, and we'll see where it goes. So hey, hello everybody, and good to see quite a few of you already in the chat here. We've got Cow joining early with his, well, there around the Europe comment. We've got the Ogre. Ogre always does the timestamps on the video and is very, very good at doing that. We've got Stephen, who is another regular here, who likes these to find many, many unknown games. We've got Super Volteca, who says insert Brendan Fraser joke here. Okay. We've got Carlo, we've got Christian, and we've got the fellow Jasper, we've got Mo. I think that's everybody who's said something in the chat, so let's turn the volume back up. And yes, welcome to all of you. It is good to see you, even if this is sort of quite a late stream by my standards. It's about 2 hours later than I like to start, but that's how it goes sometimes, isn't it? So the volume is back up. Where's my mouse case? My mouse case is there. Horizontal. Full screen. Yeah, if you want to see the dirty little secret that's in, I think, is it the Amiga version of this, then I think Larry Bundy Jr. might have a stream about it, well, a video about it, whereas I do not. That's interesting. I cannot hear anything. Right. I mean, it's registering on OBS as playing sound, but I can't hear the sounds. Isn't this a good start? Hold on. Just a moment. Just a moment. Hello? Do I have... There we go. That's better. No, there were a few... OBS did an update shortly before the stream, so there might be a few teething issues. Anyway, Dynamite Ducks, it's one of those Sega beat-em-ups that I think gets a little bit overlooked, and it's one of the better looking of the System 16 games, I'd say. It plays smooth. It's one of those that always makes me think it feels more like a European game than a Japanese game. It's got a little bit of slide on your movement. You know, European games are often known for their momentum in the way characters move, and that is present here. You do slide around a little bit. Now I've got my bombs, you see. So here we go. I can throw some bombs all over. You see, you don't get many bombs. You think you've got these bombs, and then you suddenly don't have the bombs anymore. That is why, you know, one of the reasons I decided against this one for the Miss Dynamite stream. It's not explosive enough. You do get a nice little bazooka here. Yeah, there's some great animations on this and great sound design. It looks really, really good. I mean, like I said, to me this is one of the best looking of the System 16 games. And I don't know, I think people forget about it sometimes. Maybe because it's not quite a beat 'em up, it's not quite a shooter. You know, if you want to do your strong attack, you have to stop and let it wind up like that. Although, let's not attack mailboxes. So, it might just be one of those that people can't fit in a genre, and, you know, if you talk about Sega beat-em-ups, you go for Streets of Rage instead, don't you? And that's not even an arcade game. We've got a nice fire here, at least, and a water pistol to put the fire out with. Yes, so it's a very cartoony game. It's a cute beat-em-up, and there aren't that many beat-em-ups that I would say were cute. There are a few, but not as many as I would have expected. There we go. Mid-boss done. Bunny there. See, it could have fit. I could have fit this in the bunny theme streams from the month before as well, but again, there's not really enough of any specific thing. The odd bunny, the odd bomb, the odd advert. Oh, hey, Ultar. Thank you for subscribing. If you're in the chat, feel free to say hello. Beating up people is cute. Yes. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's cute but slightly violent. Look how wound up. And yes, the pun was intended. The duck looks there as you are winding your arm up. And the mice on rails. And let's get some more bombs. Don't walk on the train tracks. See? There are a lot of enemies at one time as well. I mean, look here. We've got how many? Probably almost 10 enemies on screen at once. And that's actually also impressive because if you look at many beat 'em ups, they usually stick to like 4, maybe 5. So it's got plenty of enemies on screen and it doesn't really slow down. So I think this one must be a pretty well programmed game as well, to be honest. Yeah. So this wasn't one that there've been any notable emulation improvements to or anything like that. It is just one that was going to be on a different stream that didn't make it. Because it's called Dynamite Ducks. Now we've got to punch your... Now, one thing I remember about this game from growing up is that some of the old computer magazines had a competition to win an arcade cabinet of it. And I really wanted to win it, but obviously you never really win those things, do you? Happy World Milk Day. I bought some milk today. I've been drinking plenty of milk over these past few days actually, because I tend to find it refreshing in this hot weather. Now the duck has fallen into some psychedelic rock stone portal. But somehow just ended up in Japan. It's bombing. Oh, look, there's some pigs. Now, I don't know if this game contains any cows. I mean, it might. I wonder if that's where the Rise of the Robots dumps came from in the end, Gaming Hell. I don't know. Because that is meant to be an unreleased game, but we have 2 sets of it in MAME. So maybe some people did get Rise of the Robots cabinets for all I know. But Rise of the Robots is unfortunately one of those where the music causes issues. Even when I uploaded a standalone video of it, I got, the video blocked on copyright grounds because of the music. So I deleted that. This is on System 16. Rise of the Robots is Vasta Speed hardware from Belfruit, which is PC-like but custom graphics. Well, it's 486, I think. Maybe not so PC-like, but it's a 486 with the same graphic system. Oh yeah, the Dynamite Ducks is System 16. I think it's a 16B one. But yeah, it looks good for System 16. Very colourful too. Especially if you consider, the tiles. I think they're only 8 colours, not 16 colours, which is unusual. 3 bits per pixel instead of 4. Flamethrower. Yeah, I'm aware there's danger. I already fell down where danger is signed. Thank you for telling me. I don't know if there's many secrets in this game. You seem to you shoot various things and they show attack damage, but then they don't seem to do it. Nothing happens to them. Well, this type of game doesn't require too much concentration. I'm just going to be credit feeding it anyway until I move on to the next one. So I put this on mainly while people join, because I don't want to be showing bug fixes for the X68K games to a reduced audience at the very start. So I put on a game that I've not really got anything to show about to start with, and that's this one. So we've got a cloudy rock thing back. with a storm this time. Right, I'll give this another credit, so I'll just get to the next level. Now, I think this is ideally meant to be a two-player game, hence why it's called Ducks, not Duck. And you've got the two character names up there, Bin and Pin. Bin's probably not the best thing to call yourself, but there you go. Bin. The alternate paths, yeah, maybe. I mean, I know you got your top and bottom go down the subway, go down the other way and everything, haven't you? And you've got a little boxing match too, which is actually not that badly implemented. Colour-wise, the two ducks are very Sonic and Knuckles, aren't they? You've got your blue one and then you've got your pink one. So you've got your map. Again, I like games with the little map overviews. But, yeah, danger down there. These dog things have been overused at this point, I feel. Anyway. Now, as I said, I will now move on to one of the X68K book fixes. Colonel Saunders gets around in that game. What capabilities does System 16 have? It's got tile maps and sprites, really. There's not too much fancy about it, mate. The Sega sprites are a bit different and they're not tile-based. They've got sort of end-of-line markers and they're line-based. The tiles, I think, as I say, they're 3 bits per pixel tiles. It's not a bad piece of hardware for the time it was released, although it is a little dated compared to things that came out after it. Yes, Electronic Arts. Not really a name you expect to see on, you know, a Japanese X68K game, but yeah, Electronic Arts. The actual game name is in the top corner, and that is Cotton. Yes, big cotton pantsu. I did show that on another stream, Super VER.B. Every cotton game has got basically big cotton pants as the high score names. I don't know why Gradius 2 had two 68Ks either. I mean, the Twin 16 hardware isn't that impressive. It doesn't feel that impressive. Anyway, evening Peter, thank you for joining an Evening Gaming Hell channel. And I think anybody else joined? No, I don't think so. So anyway, evening to you all. Right, so this is from 1993 by the looks of the title screen up there. And this is the X68K port of Cotton, which is an enhanced version of the arcade game with exclusive bosses and the like. Now I have 9 credits. Now previously in MAME, it didn't resize the screen properly on this game, so you got garbage at the edges. So the fixed carporting for this one was to allow the screen mode change to work properly, so there wasn't that garbage. And this game was originally on Sega System 16 hardware, which is one of the reasons I did Dynamite Ducks first, is because before this was ported to the X68K, it was a game for the System 16 board. But the X68K can do things that the System 16 board cannot do. So if you look at the clouds up there, they are blended against the moon. The System 16 hardware cannot do blending. It can do a highlight shadow effect, but it can't do, you know, blend. So here you get much nicer looking clouds over the actual moon. And so, you know, that's sort of setting the tone for this thing. It is a nicely retuned, enhanced version of, say, extra content, extra bosses. I'm not exactly familiar enough with the original game to tell you exactly which of the extra bosses are. It also seems to have a slightly better arranged soundtrack. But again, that might just be my ears. Very nice sounding game. Go. The ball of dirt is very similar to Dynamite looks there. Now, I don't know if the clipping at the top is a bug or not, but maybe that's just off the screen if you're using a regular TV. But you will notice sometimes there are sprites above the status bar. But, otherwise, though, it's much cleaner than it was. There's no garbage at the edges of the screens. But yeah, nice fast shooter. And as we've discussed, the X68K does do a good job with shooters. It's good hardware for that type of thing. You've got your tower, actually got your sprites. The 68K is not the fastest, it's a 10 MHz 68K, so it is a little weak in that sense. I'm not using the 16 MHz model, although a lot of games don't work with the 16 MHz model in general. There are compatibility issues, even on real hardware. So most people with an X68K would have been using the 10 MHz version. For a 10 MHz machine, it is impressive. Yeah, you are meant to juggle those and get them to change colour. But that was exactly the wrong place to be. I used the special thing I picked up there, you see. Now this did get also ports to things like the PlayStation. But I don't think the PlayStation version's got the enhanced content from this one. Tea time. The later games, 2 and Boomerang, have quite different mechanics to the first one. They can let you pick up enemies and throw them around and things. This one is more of a shooter, just with, you charge attacks, your magic attacks. I think the juggling of the gem thing seems very like Twin B. The more you juggle them, the more they change colour, and then you get your different powers from them. So it's a very cute game, and I think we've started with 2 cute games from Sega type hardware, although this one was developed by Success rather than Sega. But, it's a series that is known for being on Sega hardware. Because the sequels were on the STV arcade board, Saturn based, and very good, very impressive looking games as well, the sequels. They make good use of the Saturn hardware, pushing lots of sprites around, rotation effects, all sorts. And Boomerang even has a lovely high resolution title screen. Right. As you can see, this one runs really well in MAME on the X68K. So, again, if you've only played the arcade version, the X68K version of this is definitely one to check out. The colour changing enemy there, as you do the damage as well, reminds me of things like Fantasy Zone. It's a handy technique. But yeah, maybe there's meant to be some clipping of the sprites at the top of the screen there that's not emulated. I don't know. I could just stretch it off. You don't really know with the border edge things, because a lot of TVs just wouldn't display that part of the image at all. This makes good use of line scroll effects too. You see the wavy cloud there. There's some very good games, Stephen, and I mean, one of the streams that I want to do in June will be looking at X68K games. I'll probably do a stream dedicated to the X68K, because there is an entire stream worth of even just shooters to look at, and many of them run well. There's some that I couldn't get running, and some that aren't in the software list at the moment. I don't know if the dumps are easy to find or not, or if they require special attention to get working. But I can definitely get a stream out of them. Hey Aaron, thank you for joining, and it's all going well, I would say. I just wanted to show off this version of Cotton because it's got more content than the arcade and some nicer visual effects. So if you spot anything new that you don't recognise, yeah, that's because this does have the extra bosses, extra graphical effects. It's just like the ultimate version of Cotton, I think. Cotton as it should have been. Again, I think Cotton itself, the original, tends to get overlooked. Maybe it just doesn't really appeal to the Western audiences as much. But then again, I don't think it really got any... It should have had a Mega Drive port, really, I think. The Mega Drive could have done a good job of this, but the Mega Drive got the Panorama game instead. Panorama? The Into the Screen one, which doesn't really feel like Cotton. Yeah, missed the cut means it missed the cut for getting the May stream, Bob. That's the easiest way for me to do a stream at the very start of June without having to plan things. So this was a fix that is from last month that I was going to cover and then never got around to covering. So that's generally the way this stream will be going. Yes. So I'll probably play this one for another couple of minutes. And then we'll have a look at final lap. Those build the stack enemies are rather creative too. I can't think of many shooters that have that type of enemy in where the more you shoot them, the more they try and rebuild their own little tower. I do like the way they work. That's something I look for in shooters, you know, creative enemy designs. And horizontal shooters tend to have more of them. Vertical shooters, the enemies tend to all just be, you shoot them and they die. Whereas horizontal shooters are more about, you know, the set plays, the oddly behaving enemy types. A little more creative at times. I think that's one of the appealing things about this game. All sorts of bomb attacks I've not even been using. Oh, missed the cut for. That's because I wrote it in a bit of a rush, Bob. I'll edit the description after the stream. Or maybe I can edit it now, but that might cause problems. I even had in the back of my mind that I might have done that. Let me see if I can edit that now. Hold on. Right. Hopefully that didn't end the stream. Everybody still here? It should have been changed to Mr. Cut for May now. Otherwise I'd probably just forget to update it. It's like the birthday one where I wrote, you know, I was older than Pac-Man rather than younger than Pac-Man, and I forgot to ever update that. I should probably make sure to read things a bit better. But sometimes I do those things in a rush. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, the theme is that. It's games that I had on the list for potentially playing last month to either demonstrate bug fixes or to fit a theme, and just didn't get around to. So this was obviously going to be one of the shooters that had a bug fix that just didn't fit in the stream. But yeah, let's move on now. I think you get the idea. Ooh, that is Cotton. It's got various extra content. Give it a play. It's good fun. Now, I covered the Namco sound fixers. I don't think I covered this one. See, Miss the Cut could also have been a stream about prototypes, but again, that's a stream I might do another time. And I'll have to come up with a different name for that one. Probably just prototypes. They don't all have to be punny. But yes, I did look at the other Final Lap games. I didn't look at Final Lap 3 from memory. It benefits from the same bug fix as the rest of them. It doesn't have a nice simple track. But we can go to England. It is Final Lap. Hey Zantar, I'm doing well, thank you. I hope you are too. I mean, I'm having to play Final Lap, you know, my most favouriteest game in the whole world ever. But, other than that, I'm doing absolutely okay. Absolutely fine. Got a nice little barbecue to go to tomorrow, I believe, if the weather holds up, which it should, because we had some nice sunny days. But I say I'm doing fine. I did wake up this morning to the PC blue screening on me every time after about 5 minutes of boot up. I couldn't work out why, because the temperatures were fine. But I opened it up, reseated the RAM, and it stopped doing it, so fingers crossed. Because I don't want my PC to be dying on me. That would be a problem. As you can see, I've been practicing this game extensively so that I can finish the... No, I haven't. The last time I played Final Lap was the last time you saw me play Final Lap. I was watching Ed's Vision's videos of Final Lap that made it look easy, although he did admit in the comments that it's really difficult, and it took lots of attempts to record the videos where he finished the game. As you can see, this doesn't really innovate much from the previous game. It has slightly more glitches of the large objects near the front of the camera, which is a little annoying. I thought I was doing well then. I don't even know what the official F1 song was, Super Volteca. Yes, I'm French, not France. Is there some option in service mode where I can just give myself more time and pretend to be good at this game? But I'm going to go around the Europe, as the attract mode says. Not around Europe, around the Europe. I like to encourage safe driving, which is why I'm not going too fast. I like to give Codec some advertising space, which is why I stopped there. And Pioneer, of course. And trees. Oh, hello tree. Hello R09. R09, thank you for joining. I wasn't prioritising greeting a tree over you. I just hadn't quite noticed you joined until I'd said hello to the tree first. I made a lap. I don't think I'm going to make the next one though, because I had no time left on that one. So this is the France, or French, part of the Europe. But I am starting to not dislike Final Lap as much as I used to. I mean, oh look, let's give some advertising space to everybody. Simple 2000 series, the Europe, yes. Is that on PlayStation? The theme today, Andrea, is games that I didn't manage to play last month. Basically ones that I'd got on my lists, but ended up not getting around to. So it's not really a proper themed theme, it's just one. It's the C leftovers, the B-sides, the I ran out of time. Nope. No comment. Yeah, it's still a main. It's still going to be main. It's just ones I didn't play last month, yeah. Ones that I got on my list and just, you know, didn't get around to. This track's very narrow. I guess that's because San Marino is quite small. and they've probably not got room for a very big track. That's my theory. It's also very windy. Not sure why it's very windy, but it's very windy. The Thanksgiving leftover stream. Possibly. I don't like this track. It's much more difficult than the other. Apparently nobody's ever heard of straights in San Marino. I didn't even make a lap. Fastest lap was no lap. Not Santa's lap. Because it wasn't the right place. It wasn't Greenland or Iceland or wherever Santa lives. So let's go to Spain and really show how good I am at the game. Let's not do that. I think the problem is, because I've selected Spain, my steering is still to the right to select Spain, so let's try again. There we go. I centered the steering properly. This looks like Spain, yes. It looks like him. Hey, at least I'm not the only one that crashed there. Is Spain just a big desert then? Is that's what this looks like? A big desert where nobody can drive. Is this an accurate description of Spain? This is terrible. Well, my driving is terrible. I got off to such a good start on the other track as well. I thought I might do something that might have improved, but apparently these Spanish drivers just don't want to get out my way. I need a horn. So, again, I didn't finish a lap. I should play another Shredded this, shouldn't I? Because, I mean, the thing is, once I'd shown Final Lap 1 and Final Lap 2, I think you got the general idea that the engine sound is fixed and the road position is fixed. There wasn't much need to play Final Lap 3, so that is why this one just ended up on these didn't make the cut streams. It doesn't really change much from the previous games. Now, home sweet home in England. I expect to be greeted by the Queen after I finish this lap. The full red carpet treatment. And the carpet is not going to be red because I ran the Queen over. Because that's an unfortunate way to have a red carpet. Also, probably would get you hung. Yeah, I do like seeing it better emulated Tony as well. I mean, I can appreciate it a bit more now. Without the correct engine sound, it just felt completely unplayable. At least this way, you know, I get more of a feeling of how fast I'm going from the engine. But with just a continual tone, it was obnoxious. It's good to see, you know, people doing laps of the game on YouTube videos to show that it works now. But yes, I think we've seen enough of me failing at Final Lap. Yeah, there's some garbage still, Tony. That needs fixing. I don't know why. The sprites that are very large end up still being in the visible area. Maybe there's a missing coordinate bit that we're not handling or something, or they somehow get clipped out otherwise. The R stands for really a fourth game, yes, Cam. So this is Splitting Images, which was renamed as Split Personalities because of legal issues due to it being an obvious parody of a parody. I mean, Spitting Image was a TV show that was quite political, which is a parody of politics and everything, a bit satire. And then this game is obviously referencing that, and they weren't happy with that, and they were forced to rename it. But this is the original version before it was forced to be renamed. Did that make sense? I hope that made sense, because I think I just ate all my words there. Yes, Splitting Images. Nothing to do with Spitting Image, the TV show, obviously. No, that was the problem. They had to rename it. So yeah, this one is a sliding puzzle game, but it's a very unique puzzle game. You control the cursor, you get your pieces out the box here, and they go together in different ways. Now, this was going to be one of the ones for the Dynamite stream, because as you can see, you get various bits of dynamite, and you really have to get them out the playfield before they explode. Which, obviously, I failed to do. Now, the problem is, oh yeah, if the doors are open, you throw the bits out of the playfield. It tells you where each bit belongs if you hover over it. But, yeah, I was never very good at this game. Oh yeah, if you do against that wall, you get the zapper effect. So this piece belongs up there. But I can't move that there. I can move that there. I can move that there. I need more pieces, though. But I don't really want the gun. Oh. Never mind. Right, that piece... Oh, again, I forget that. That piece goes there. I mean, I've never been good at sliding puzzles at the best of times. Let's get rid of the bomb. But yeah, this is another one that's going to be on the Dynamite stream. Because, obviously, it's got dynamite in it. But it's also quite political. I wasn't quite sure what to pair it with, I think, was the problem with this one. I was thinking, shall I pair it with something like I'm Sorry, but I'd done I'm Sorry before. Whereas I hadn't done. Is that the right place? Maybe. But different items combined with different items, you can get rid of other things that way. I don't remember all the combinations. This is actually a really good original puzzle game that, even if you don't like slide puzzles, can be enjoyable. I mean, I'm not going to say go out your way and play it if you hate slide puzzles, because that would be a silly thing to do. But relative to a number of other games, it's not actually that bad. You see, that one's actually quite a good piece to have, because that's a bottom corner piece. If I can get that to where it needs to go, that would help. But I inevitably just run out of time on these. But, that piece as well, that can go... Oh, go there, can't it? So that's right, that's right. What am I doing? So if I just get rid of some pieces I can't use right now as well. That's the other advantage you've got here. It's very easy to get rid of pieces if you just want to try and use them later instead of being forced to use them immediately. So I can get that one and I can put it there where it goes, you see. And that piece is meant to go there still. So now I've got that one, and that one, right? But as you can see, I'm running out of time because, yeah, there's... The time challenge here is real. I can put that there. Does that go there? That goes there, you see. So those pieces are right now. Get rid of that. I somehow need to get that into the bottom corner, and I've blocked off my way to the bottom corner. Because, you know, sometimes you do that. Yeah, it's a very weird game, but it's actually, you know, I don't like slide puzzles, but I've played plenty of this and say never disliked it. Have I lost the piece that goes there? Oh, there. Look, I'm running out of time though. I'm really doing not well. But yeah, it's got all the political characters, and if you don't want politics in the game, it's probably the wrong game to play. But run out of time, reading beneath the communist flag. So that one goes there. And that goes there. This clearly doesn't go there. I think I got rid of the piece that does. That does go there though. That splice is too hard to use right now, so just go out, go out. I don't think this is going to work too well. No. I need that bit there. Need that bit there. No, I don't really want to do that. That there. 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 There we go. You see, it's a slide puzzle, but you get the advantage that you can push pieces out and you don't have to use that every tile in the grid, so you've got this top row that's always free, which does make it a lot easier than your traditional slide puzzle. And yeah, this is just the audio is tense, but it's meant to make you tense because it's ticking down. Again, this was going to be on the Dynamite stream because you get the bombs that blow you up and cause all sorts of problems. But there's maybe not enough explosives. There's enough explosives now, but let's get rid of them. Oh dear, didn't get rid of the explosives. Now, of course, everybody's favourite person leads to my game over here. But there we go. Hey Y2J fan, thank you for subscribing. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Yes, ding dong. Unfortunately, I'm the one who died there, Thomas. So, who do we get this time? Okay. So it starts off the same. I mean, the different items you can combine with each other. So, see what we're getting out here. I can't do that. I always forget I can't do that or that. Not when it's shown like that. Uh-oh. Hey, Mass Ninja. Yes, that was supposed to be Thatcher, Bob. Yes, God bless America. That's what happens if you combine the Soviet flag and the American flag. You get points for God bless America bonus. So that's how I've got lots of bonus points so far, as long as I complete the level after doing that. If I fail to complete the level, it counts for nothing. I don't know really what the gun combines with. Oh, water apparently? Okay. Don't know what that combines with. In fact, now you see, I actually have all the pieces in the playfield that I need, just in the wrong places. So, you know, I'm sure this is how it's meant to look, isn't it? Yeah, Crazy Faces, I heard that name before. I think there's a prototype out there, isn't there, but that was dumped, the Gaming Hell YouTube thing. But I've not played that prototype, at least not recently. But yeah, I think this is a really good puzzle game, actually. It's one of those puzzle games that stands out as unique. And that's why I wanted to look at it. It does run okay in the Spectrum driver, as you can see. So if you've not tried that one, give it a try. Or, yeah, let me see if the Game Gear one's in the list, actually. So, yeah, the Game Gear version is in the list. So let's see what the Game Gear prototype is like. I wasn't planning on looking at the Game Gear prototype, but you know how these streams go. So yeah, the Game Gear. Yeah, I've got the CRT effect on, never mind. I need to set up a Game Gear INI file. So crazy faces. I guess it's lost the political theme. Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay. Yeah, you can see it's the same game design. Doesn't seem to be giving me any random pieces though. It just seems to be all the pieces I need. I don't know if that's just it's the first level and it doesn't. And it doesn't have the electric things on the wall. Again, it might just be because it's the first level, but it looks like this is a simplified version of the game. You've got to hack them back in. It depends if it's worth hacking them back in. If the game's missing half the actual gameplay features, it's not going to be worth it. I mean, half the fun of the original game is that you've just got all those really silly pieces and silly things going on. This first level now is just a slide puzzle. All the fun has been taken away. You know, I don't like slide puzzles. So if I was to get this, and I go, oh great, it's a slide puzzle, as opposed to the other one where it was a slide puzzle with rather wacky elements, which is what made it fun. So I'm guessing that might be why this didn't get released, because it gives the wrong first impression at least. If there is improved content later on with the extra features, great. If it's not there, then you've really just turned a unique and fun game into a very boring slide puzzle. But, you know, I'll give it a little chance. I'll build Sonic. Or at least I'll try to build Sonic. I might fail miserably at building Sonic. I'm not known for my ability to play slide puzzle games. I think I've got rid of the piece I need, haven't I? Yeah, there we go. But there's no music here either. It's very dull from an audio design point of view as well. That's the piece that goes. Yeah, that's the piece that goes there. Okay, somewhere I have the piece I need that goes there. Where is it? Seriously, where is it? Oh, yeah. Of course, of course. There we go. I built Sonic. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's why split personalities or splitting image really stands out. Is a slide puzzle that's actually enjoyable, whereas the first level of this is just a slide puzzle. And I don't know if it's going to introduce anything. Marco's Magic Sucker. That wasn't even a popular game. So it seems to have now, yeah, it seems to have the element on the side there that will push the thing back. So if I do this, yeah, it's got that, but it doesn't do the nice electrical zap effect. Is it going to push any random pieces into the map? No, it's still not doing anything interesting. It's just the piece. Yeah, this is just, it misses what made the original game fun. It misses everything that made the original game fun, from what I can tell, or it introduced it too slowly. So yeah, don't play the Game Gear version. Play the version that the version that's actually good, the Spectrum version, or maybe the C64 version that I've never played. Right. Now, when I was looking at the plug and play Dreamworks movie night, one thing I didn't look at is this really early build that was also made available. Now, this is more of a test program than a build of the actual game. So it's from quite a few months before. And it presents a menu with 5 choices. The end games are 4 in 1. So Shrek and Fiona are the same game. Hey Julius, thank you for subscribing. I hope you're doing well. But in this case, there are actually only 2 games. The Shrek, which is a wrestling game engine, and this is all there is to it. You can control Shrek and wrestle. Now, the wrestling game did not make the final plug and play. There is no Shrek wrestling game in the final plug and play unit. So this is this is a very early test program to I guess work out what they're doing with the hardware, maybe, or just to get the project started, get Shrek into something. They didn't take this one any further, I guess, because there's no Shrek wrestling game in the final, and this is just the bare bones of something. But that's not the interesting one. The interesting part is the other things in the menu. The other thing in the menu is all the Fiona thing. Now, if you saw the Fiona game in the final unit, it's a platform-based beat 'em up with lots of different moves. But this prototype version is the sort of the base of the game engine, but with stick figures, and that's kind of cool. I mean, you've got your running and jumping attacks, and you see all the figures flailing about, flying around. You've not got all the moves from the final game. You jump on their heads and get a bit higher up, you see. There's no sound, there are no proper graphics, but you can tell that this is how they were developing the engine. It's got the wall climbs, as you can see. So you can do that. You can run up the wall just with stick figure sprites. So the game engine had been developed like this before they put any of these Shrek sprites in. Better than staring at us ogres. There we go. I can potentially wall jump up this. Or I can just go up here and climb up here. You can get to the top. I can't remember the exact route. That's probably it. Now, I don't think you can kill anything in this. So there's no way to progress in the levels that I know of. But you can, you can take the enemies out. You can move them about. Yeah, down you go. Look, all the way down there. So this is the kind of thing that's just exciting to see. It's not exciting to play, but it gives you a real insight into how the game is developed. Yeah, you very rarely do RO9. So, you know, this is a fascinating little piece of early development. I mean, I'll put the final one on briefly again, very, very briefly. But you can see that that was the early engine. The stick page vibes. Yeah, some of those plug and play, the handheld things have a stick man figure fighter as well. That kind of reminded me of that. But that's actually really nice little engine there with lots of moves you can do. So you can see they were testing everything. But it had no IP, nothing licensed. But that's obviously what this was based. You know, this is the game that developed from that. So you've got your same moves. You've got your punch and your headbutt. You've got your flying kicks. Now I showed this last time. But it's just, you know, I think it's from about 4 or 5 months earlier. Maybe a bit longer, I don't know. But you can see they developed the engine, and they obviously drew all the sprites and put all the hints in, put the actual enemy AI in. But that's a very early test program prototype. And again, that should be added in the next main release alongside this. Now, it didn't seem to have the double jump attack thing. Or maybe I just triggered it incorrectly. I don't know. It might just be I didn't do the correct move actually thinking about it now. But yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to play not again now, because yeah, it's not one I want to cover again this time. It's a good little game, that one, actually, and it should have been released. So that even the final game there is still a prototype. It never hit the market. But then we've got that really early prototype version with just the stick sprites, and I think that's fascinating, the way they've developed the game engine with the stick sprites, and then you know, put the actual characters on afterwards. But yeah, I just wanted to briefly look at that one, because it might have easily been overlooked. You might have just thought, oh, it's just another set of the same prototype, but that's a very early set. Now, I want to look at another X68K bug fix now. Originally, I was going to pair this one up with Cyvern, the Kaneko shooter, and I might still look at Cyvern in a bit, but this is X68K Mid-Garts Gold even. So this is one where there were some significant bug fixes to the intro graphics at the very least, and I don't think the game previously booted. So I'll let the intro of this play. So it's Wolf Team. You know, they did a few games on the Mega Drive too. I think I looked at Soldiance before. So intros like this kind of remind me of things like the Amiga, where you had an intro disc, and that's exactly what you've got here. That the first disc for this game is just the intro. Fortunately, the intro is the best part of this game. I thought it was going to say Manic Mansion. Well, Maniac Mansion even. Not Manic Mansion. It's not Manic Miner. Maniac Mansion. Although a Manic Miner Maniac Mansion crossover would be interesting. Yeah, I think I mean, it was. I think it would have been the main platform for a lot of Japanese developers, especially if they wanted things to be released in Japan. But nice little intro here, anyway. And a great soundtrack as well. But yeah, previously this intro didn't play properly at all. There were glitches all over the place, and now it plays really well. It did a little bit. I mean, there are quite a few games that do that scrolling from the side effect. But yeah. This is kind of your versus fighter type intro as well. The viewpoint of each character. Classic techniques. There you go. Yes. Same type of techniques you got on things like the Amiga too for their intros. Whatever was cheap to do that still looked effective. Indeed. And this intro had to fit on a single disc, so that's what they went for. Yeah, the game, the intro really gets you pumped, but then the game, well, we'll get to the game shortly. Now, I'm assuming this says insert disc 2 and reset, because the first disc is just the intro. So what you have to do is software list, insert disc 2. Also, I'm going to put disc 3 in there and disc 4 in there and empty that slot. Then I'm going to reset. No, sorry. it automatically ejects discs. So you reset, then we have to put the disc in. Because the X68K driver loves to do that. UI controls enabled. There we go. Let's try again. Let's insert the second disc now. There. So it's ejected all the discs. Yeah, the X68K has a funky mechanism where it can actually eject discs on you. So if it does that, you put them back in. Now this should load. Yeah, that is true, Mess Drivers. It's a good platform for trying things out. So we've loaded the game. We can start the game. Now again, the game didn't used to run properly. I think it crashed when you start the game. It's quite story heavy, this one. Yeah, there needs to be a bit of an easy way, because every time you have to go through the thing and type in the software list name again, it doesn't remember the actual software list entry, so there's no quick way to get back there. This is a bit of a UI design issue. So lots of Japanese text. And then we have a shooter that is actually kind of basic. So after all that intro and all the great music, this is kind of your shooter. You know, enemies with 2 frames of animation, and still got a great soundtrack going on. Yes, you do have to tap the button, you can't hold it. At least with this button. And I lost a life just like that. Yeah, I think they spent the whole time on the intro and the story and everything else, and then the game just kind of was an afterthought. I don't know, it feels that way. Oh dear, I don't want to lose all my lives. I want to get a bit further in the game. But now, you can get different attack types, but you start with just the one, so there's no point in me pressing the change attack type button. Because it will pause the game to let me choose an attack type, and there are none to choose from. Oh dear. And that's game over. So I will give this one another try, because that wasn't a very good go at the game at all. But yeah, the actual game just feels a little bit disappointing in the end. Let's give it another try. There are so many great X68K shooters. And again, I will look at some more of them on one of the June streams. But yeah, I lost all my Mid-Garts. So let's try again and see if I can not die this time. Because I did get further in practice earlier. I've already lost a life, that's not a good start. A lot of bullets to avoid, really. Considering it's, you know, one hit takes you a life off you. Yeah, I'm not going to get very far this time, am I? See, if you spell select, but I don't have any other spells to choose from, so that's pointless. That's what the other button is, it's spell select. So I don't know why I haven't just quit, but that's probably because there is no quick... Oh, I don't want to spell select. Attitude is the current one. Attitude means regular angry fireball. And yeah, it does look more like it's coming from the guy, doesn't it, than the dragon, because it doesn't adjust the position to the dragon's head, although I'm quite glad it doesn't, because that would just be even more annoying. When you get enemies that appear and just disappear, that doesn't seem to be a main thing. I looked at other videos of this in other emulators, it's just exactly the same thing. There we go. So you get here, and this is where you get a cutscene, so, you know. Yeah, I mean, Sol Fies, Sol Dies is definitely better than this one. But you get all this cutscene. Screen shaky effect. More music. The music's pretty good. I do like the music. Yeah, it's probably a learning experience, 009. But again, that's one of the things with MAME. This is why I like emulation. You can have a look at the earlier things, you know, these companies did. What's Hellhound, Carlo? Is that another X60 occasion game? You're trying to... Sorry, Bob. You can pause the stream if you want. And I don't know. Anyway, between every level, there is a load of text like that. So there's a bit more to do here. There's lasers to avoid, rather than, let's say, all the bullets. You can shoot the, you know, the laser deployment units. Yeah, I don't like lasers. And there we go, a very wonky looking Statue of Liberty. It's quite bad. Oh, it's an X60K Radius that rip off. I'll have to look at that when I do the dedicated stream then for an X68K Carlo. Because this stream is just ones that I didn't cover in the May streams. And that wasn't in my May stream list, but it's one that I will look at in a stream for June, because I do want to do a dedicated X68K June stream. Mid-Garts gold. The worst enemy of any dragon is boxers. So yeah, I actually have another spell now. Actually, I can select. What can I select? How do I select it? Okay, I don't know how to actually select the spell. I think I might be missing a button. It always seems to go back to attitude when I select the other one. Maybe, I don't know. It doesn't seem to want to let me select Argentina, which is a very odd name for a spell in the first place. So, more story. I don't know if it says anything interesting. I can't read it. And I don't think there's any localization of it. Not as much attitude as Final Lap. No. A vacation in Argentina. Tempting. Probably not the best time to be going anywhere on vacation at the moment. Right. Let's more text. More text. Ah, excellent, Rockman. Good to hear. Good to hear. Yeah, one of the plugs and plays we picked up was a Kid Next Door one, which is by the same company that did the Turtles Battle in the City. So that's on its way to sure now, and fingers crossed it will be an easy dump. Okay, there you go. Well, I was just making sure, Bob, if you did want to, it was on the screen a little bit longer. I'm full of attitude on this game. Yes, I'm an angry, attitude-fueled dragon. So that's what, 14 juice box cartridges and a Kids Next Door plug and play. The game crashed. Okay. I don't have to play it anymore. I suppose I'd better tell Carl the game crashes when you get to level 3. Because the game crashed when I got to level 3. Never mind. Yes, I'll have to mention that to Carl, that the game crashes when you get to level 3. Because I'm pretty sure it's not meant to do that. Because I have seen long plays of it on the other emulator. Right. Yeah, I'd better throw in some arcade games here because I would say there were arcade games that got dropped from the stream as well. So the music was kind of groovy. Yeah, there's another Bug 009. That, I mean, it's good to find them on stream. So yeah, the game I was going to pair up with this on the May streams if it happened was Cyvern, which is a Kaneko vertical shooter where you're a dragon. And it's suitable for all ages. Lovely title screen. So I'll be the green one. So you dropped off in a pod. Now this you've got your banish attack, which you use when you hold the button. You build it up over time, and then you use it up by holding the button. And this to me always reminds me of Battle Gallagher, but with dragons. I think it's like because you've got these train-like enemies and swinging arms in places. It's kind of got that feel to it. I've used up all my banish attack. And this is one I worked on the emulation of many, many years ago. Yeah, it's a nice game, this one. You've got to plan when you use the banish attack to get rid of the more dangerous enemies. Don't waste it like I've been doing. But it does build back up over time, well, if you pick up the correct items. Not so much over time, but cut the power-ups and you get your banish back. And blow things up, you get your banish back. You need the screen as your phone alert. People will definitely look at you if your phone goes off with a screen like that. Multi-part boss here. You see the different parts that going down the line. I like it when train bosses do that, where the different parts sort of move on their own, so you can tell it's going along a bumpy track. It's also got quite a Psycho feel to it in terms of some of the bullet patterns, I feel, in these Strikers games. But it's interesting because there aren't all that many high quality shooters credited to Kaneko. Yeah, that's what I say. It does have that Psycho feel to it a little bit. Maybe, I mean, I'm kind of almost reminded of Wyvern Wings, which is obviously very heavily Psycho inspired as well. That Psycho, but not quite Psycho feel. Obviously, Psycho have their own dragon-based shooter as well, which I should look at some point. But that wasn't the one I was going to pair with Mid-Garts. I feel a bit sorry for Carl if he's got to play Mid-Garts to level 3. But I suppose you'll find a cheat to make it easy or something like that. Unless that dump in MAME is just a bad dump, but I don't know. The x68K soft list I do think needs some work, because I watched a few videos of x68K games and there are ones that are on the videos that aren't soft listed, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But, yes, hopefully it'll prove to be a useful test case though, whatever crashed it. The Supernova system's a very capable system, Carlo. It's got RLE compressed sprites. It can do. It's got a decent speed SH2 processor. It can do all sorts of blending, rotation effects. It's a powerful system. And this game's not pushing it to the max in terms of the effects. But if you look at something like Sengeki Striker, that's using all the zoom. If you look at Puzzloop, it uses the rotation for the title screens. You've got all sorts of priority effects too. The mixing is quite complex. I don't think it's perfect in MAME right now because the intro to one of the Gauss Panic games has a slight priority glitch. But yeah, I mean, this was a good piece of hardware. I keep crashing into bullets when I'm not looking. And very few of the games have slowdowns either, so you can tell the SH2 isn't crippled by anything. Like you know, you got with the 32X where it runs at a fraction of the proper frame rate. Don't drink and play. You can't defeat a boss with one hand. Or just, you know, don't be me. Yes. So I'll probably move on to another game shortly. So I don't know how long this stream is going to be because it was a very late start. So it definitely won't be more than 3 hours. It might be more like 2.5. Oh dear. I do like these games. I am terrible at these games. Nice wavy line scroll. Yeah, you can do line scroll, column scroll, all sorts like that. It's got interrupts that you could probably do raster effects with too, but I don't think any games do. Yeah, Cyvern, say I wanted to pair that one with Mid-Garts because it's a Dragon Wyvern based shooter. So, right. Let's go back to the computers. There are probably going to be more computer things in this than consoles because, I mean, than arcades, just because that's how sometimes these things work out. Now, the Intellivision. This is one that Bob recommended in the chat. This is Thunder Castle. And I'd never played this before. And I was really impressed by it. Now, this just uses a joystick. You've just got your up, down, left, right. And that's it. But, so yeah, if you think of something like Pac-Man, that's just got up, down, left, right as the controls. This is the same. But the presentation here is absolutely fantastic for the time this was released. The art, the mood it sets. And all you're doing is running around the maze as this little knight, avoiding, the enemy at times, not getting stuck in gates like I just did. So you've got to go and collect the bats. Probably not a good idea to go there. Doors open and close randomly, So let's chase down the bats. I didn't check cow. I mean, I'd assume it is. Oh yeah, and that yellow item there that just appeared, according to the manual, is a comb. And that halves your score. Because everybody knows that the worst enemy of any dragon slaying knight is a comb. You can't possibly have neat, tidy hair when you're trying to slay a dragon. But yeah, you've got to try and get the dragon relatively close to you when you collect the power up. Uh-oh. Go. So you lead the dragon around while trying to chase down the bats, basically. And then you hope you don't get stuck behind a door. Go, no. No dragon, you can't go in the castle. And I just walked into the dragon. Which games use the voice expansion cow? Now, I did complete this first level earlier, but naturally that wasn't on stream. So now I can kill the dragon if I can get there quickly enough, but if I get to the dragon... There we go, I slayed the dragon. Now you have to do that, I think, 3 times on the first level. Oh, I thought they were automatic. I don't know what button that's mapped to then, Bob. Although I got cornered by the dragon there. B-47 Bomber uses the voice add-on, does it? I'll check that one out for a future stream, Cal, see if it's emulated. Again, it wasn't on the May list, so I'm trying to just go on ones that got cut off for the May lists. And this was going to be on the previous miscellaneous May stream until we ran out of time, because Bob did recommend it. And I did give it a play, and I was going to pair it with Lock and Chase, actually, because Lock and Chase is another one where gates are opening and closing in a maze. Although we have looked at Lock and Chase before, which is one of the reasons I didn't prioritise it on the stream, is because it's like, well, we've seen Lock and Chase a few times. We saw Lock and Chase on the Data East cassette stream. So yeah, I think I might have used the key then, because I pressed a button. And it made a sound, so I don't know what the key does. I can't remember that from the manual. See bat flying out my way. No. Luckily, if you're stuck in a wall, it doesn't count as being on top of the dragon. And you are slightly faster than this one, so you can get... Oh, not if you get trapped like that. Yeah, I think it's just control, because it made a sound when I pressed the button. Bob, hey Aussie guy, thank you for joining. I hope you're doing well. But I love this screen. Just the design of it, it's a lovely screen. Also, the look of the game in general, the walk cycle, the tension. Maybe the random gates are a little frustrating. It'd be nice if you could hack through them, maybe. Oh, there's a bat. You annoying bat. There we go. Chase you down. Didn't quite manage to chase you down. But there we go. Killed that one. Killed the yellow dragon. There's a crown up there that I should probably try and get. Now we've got the red dragon. But yeah, I'd never played this game before, and yeah, I was impressed by it. I like games that manage to do something simple, and in this case, it's just well, as Bob has now said, it does have a button as well. Although unfortunately I died. Right, so yeah, understand. That's probably why I'm struggling then, Bob. I mean, I did manage to do it earlier without using the items. I thought the items were automatic or something, because I noticed the comb does automatically halve your score. I still don't understand why it's a comb. There are 3 different levels to this game, with different enemy types, which have different speeds and different things to chase down. And it's a really stylish game for the time it's released. And it's one I'll definitely play more of. In fact, I'm going to play another game of it now. 1 player. Here beginneth the tales of the Knights of Thunder Castle. I believe they do. I think by the 3rd stage they're faster than you aren't they? So you can't even try and keep them close while you catch the items you need to kill them. So on the last stage, this dragon would be outpacing me. There we go. Yeah, I guess learning what the power-ups do is a good idea. At the same time, there we go, you see. I've not got that far, Bob. I got to the 2nd stage last time I played it. But again, it's a game I've never seen before this. And I wish I had, because it's a game I've actually enjoyed discovering. No, I'm not going to go to capture it this time, so let's try and go for the item. I'd failed to get the item. No. Yeah, they just look nice. Stay there, Bat. Stay there. Oh, you can stay there. And I do like the 2600 look anyway. Especially as somebody who didn't grow up with the 2600 and is more used to the tile-based graphics. Something like the 2600 does have a very distinctively different look. And I can appreciate that. Crown freezes, necklace makes you faster. You've got to be able to chase down the actual pouch in the first, but no, not that way. What does this do? What does the? I guess it's just a pile of gold, isn't it? Probably just gonna be points, yeah. There we go. So I've killed the dragon. Grail is best, it turns on attack mode. So again, great presentation between the levels. Oh, so you can get close to the dragon, then attack the dragon. I see. So you've got 2 wizard thingies chasing you down this time, I guess. Oh. Yeah. That sounds like a good strategy if you can get the Grail. Where's the mouse on top of my staff? Candles are 1-up. So you've got to chase down the rat thing. But now even the rat is faster, I think. Look, it's getting away from me. Let's try and get the crown. Oh, no, I've got the power now. Oh. Different tune as well. It would be good if it showed you what power you're carrying somewhere. I think that's why maybe I thought you didn't have to use them, because nowhere does it show you that you're carrying. Oh, that was teleport randomly. That wasn't the most useful thing to use. Key up there. Can't get to it. Yeah, I figured you'd only be able to carry one. But it's a slightly frustrating game at times. I'm going to get caught. But it's still a fun game. But once it's game over here, then I will move on. Probably got like 1 life left. Again, it doesn't really show you the number of lives you have anywhere, so you just have to kind of remember, I guess. Key lets you walk through a solid wall. That does sound handy. The comb. That's the comb. Do you think it was always meant to be a comb, or do you think they just decided it was a comb when everybody said it was a comb? Because, you know, I couldn't understand if it was a rake that made you look silly. Oh dear. Oh, life's the top right. 0. Okay. Oh yeah, I see. I see. Up there, yeah. Or even up there, because my monitor's on the other side. At the top... Well, I can't reach over the screen and point, but yeah, top right. I see. I see. Anyway. Thunder Castle for the Intellivision is not a game I played before, but it was recommended on the stream, which tends to mean that things get added to the lists. If I try them off stream and enjoy them, I want to play them. The problem with that one is I couldn't really find a game I hadn't played before to pair it neatly with, so it got kind of missed out for that reason. But yes, it's an enjoyable one that I would recommend if anybody's not played it. Do go and play it. Absolutely do go and play it. Why are the fireworks going off outside? That's a bit odd. Anyway, maybe somebody completed final lap. What was it going to do next? Okay, this one I've had on my list for a while. Never got around to play. This is a Sega Arcade UFO Senshi Yohko-chan. One of the encrypted System 1 games. Maybe they came in first place on final lap, yes. Now, I'm guessing Vic is Vic Tokai, which is not listed in the copyright information there for some reason, but probably should be. So here we have a Sega Arcade maze shooter. Wait, once you enter your name at the start, but never mind. Super good. Somebody's better at final lap than me. Imagine that. So I'm not going to pretend I know anything or everything or even the slightest thing about this game, but I can run around a maze shooting things, and that counts. And it's a very good-looking System 1 game, I feel. Although not one where you should be running it straight into enemies. Now I'm collecting coins, which is money, obviously. Other than that, I don't really know what I'm doing. So if I'm meant to be doing anything specific, I'm probably not doing it. There's a shop. Enemies respawn. Now, I believe this is in Japanese. No, it's not in Japanese. It's kind of in Japanese. I can get a boomerang, maybe. Oh no, that's not a boomerang. That just lets me run through everybody. Oh dear. So yes, I've never spent much time with this one, which is one of the reasons I didn't play it in the end, because I thought, I don't know what I'm doing at all. It looks good, but I try and play games I've played at least once before, and this one, you know, I came across it while looking up sort of Sega maze games to pair with another maze game I wanted to look at, which I will look at after this. Not really related to this, but I'll still look at it. But then I tried playing it and I go, I don't really know what I'm doing. No, it seems nice, but is there a strategy to it? The burger. Let's eat a burger. So I don't want to go to the shop because I went to the shop last time. It didn't get me anywhere. There's an exit, but I can't use the exit, so I clearly need to do some. Oh no, I can use the exit. Okay. Now it looks a bit like Wonder Boy, but Wonder Girl, and there's people on top of cars. And they've gone for a little scrolling effect on the trees and the water there, which is kind of nice for System 1 hardware. You didn't really see that often. The gameplay style has entirely changed, as you can see. Now it's a platforming auto-run shooter. Again, a bit Wonder Boy-ish, but more shooting, less skateboarding. And they obviously worship cats here, because you can see that with all the cat statues and the fish emblems. But I died. Ugly tire Wonder Boy with some parallax. Yes, and apparently I died. But no, I don't think it's ugly. I kind of like the style to this one. Adventure World, not Adventure Island. Oh, no, I do have boomerangs. So I do have boomerangs. There we go. But boomerangs are meant to come back. I think you're missing the point of the boomerang here, boomerang. Or I can use normal. Not normal, normal. Now, I can't seem to jump down the platform. Yeah, the overhead part did look better than this. Probably wasn't the best place to jump down. The sprite work is still good, though. I do still appreciate the art, the style. It is System 1, which is the same platform that Wonder Boy runs on. So, you know, this is on Wonder Boy hardware. Apparently they also worship bunnies here. Maybe it's Contra. Maybe this is... It's got waterfalls. I feel unprepared for... Well, I was going to say unprepared for the jump. I'm unprepared for something landing on my head. I was not aware of that Aussie guy. I don't really know what any of those things are, but so I definitely wasn't aware of that. I mean, again, I'm not all that knowledgeable about some of the specifically the Japanese culture in terms of TV shows, celebrities. And I figured it was a tie into something. It's not something I was aware of. There we go. The platforming section has been passed. Oh, that, I thought that was part of the... what? You just got far, what? Giant dragon... Oh, okay. I don't know what's happening. Nope. I have a feeling the upper route might have been safer. You look surprisingly happy considering you're in a forest with everything trying to kill you. And succeeding. Right, where do we go back to? At least the checkpoints don't seem too harsh. So we've got Dragon Witch. Yeah, I can't remember even watching anybody play this on a stream before. So this one's kind of entirely unfamiliar to me. I'm sure it has been played by people, but just not on any of the streams I've actually spent time watching. And but yeah, let's just not continue. Clearly, no, it's not localized. Your name entry and everything else is in Japanese. I'm kind of surprised. I think it could have been localized and been relatively successful, but it wasn't. So, I lost my place. Let's go. Right, so another game I was going to look at was this one. The Arcadia 2001 and Trax. Now this is another that's kind of like Lock and Chase. You can choose your different options. There's lots of different options. Let's go option 1, game 1, start. I can't remember the keys. So it's Pac-Man-like, but you've got keys somewhere, I don't remember what I'm mapped to, that can open and close the gates on the map. Is it on the map keypad too? Because it's probably just getting in the way. Okay, I don't know what I've done there. So you can open and close the gates. So you've got to try and clear the maze while opening and closing the gates. And obviously that's how you trap enemies and stop them getting to you. Now, this kind of reminds me in some way of Mousetrap, the XD game that I also looked at on a different stream. You can also, I think, teleport and other things, which I should probably do. Yeah, my controls aren't really set up for this. Oh, so yeah, if you press 1 again, it restarts the game. This is an old system. Oh yeah, any other key there teleports. Right, okay, that's okay. So yeah. It's Pac-Man with an added element of being able to close off parts of the maze to your advantage. And I'm not really making good use of that, am I? But the Arcadia 2001 is a system I haven't really covered at all on the streams. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to cover this. But again, I was struggling to pair it with anything. In terms of, you know, maze games where you've got gates open and close, the Thunder Castle one for the Intellivision is the one that, you know, I'd prioritised as highlighted as the one to, you know, consider looking at. Whereas this, then, you know, I'm also trying to pair this with Lock and Chase. And again, I don't really have enough games that came to mind to try and pair with it. So now apparently I'm a truck, and trucks can run over mice. No, I believe I am the... Am I the cat? I don't know. I'm a truck now. And there we go again. No, I'm a cat and they're mice. But they're chasing me. I guess, you know, that they... Yeah, I see what you mean. The mice are trying to kill the cat, aren't they? Yes, I turned into an exterminator truck. So I don't know. These mice are obviously very skilled in extermination of... I should really use my random teleport from time to time, shouldn't I? It would help. Now, there are different game options, because that's one thing with the Arcadia. It seems like one of those early systems where there are a bunch of variations of the game built into the system, where, you know, you use your option key and your game selection key to select doing a whole bunch of different game modes to try and stop things getting boring, I guess. Random teleporter is random, not always useful. Now I get to turn into exterminator truck again with a Y on it. Yes, why? Why are you in my maze? Oh yeah, this isn't altogether awful for the time it was released. It's got a, you know, a good variety of And a good variety of game options that I'm not going to show all of. And it's got this open and close the gates mechanic. You just have to remember where the gates are when to use them. I think this did start off as a more traditional Pac-Man clone. From what I was reading up on it, there's a game that's basically just Pac-Man that uses the same game engine but doesn't have any of this gate mechanic or anything else. But it evolved into this, which is definitely a more interesting game. You thought the Y on the truck was a mouse. It might be, Bob. It might start running things now. Yes. That this is a mouse. That's not a mouse. Right, so game over. I'll give this one more go. Actually, I've not changed the options, so we'll just get to play the same games. I'm just going to confuse you by opening and closing the door. But yeah, I mean, it's like the Mousetrap arcade game in the sense that gave you 4 different buttons to open and close different gates. This just gives you a single open and a single close button that opens and closes all the gates. I guess this was influenced by XD's Mousetrap. It feels like it must have been. Maybe they thought the original game was too close to Pac-Man, so they just, you know, reworked it to be too close to Mousetrap instead. But I've definitely played far worse, you know, Pac-Man knockoffs, if you want to call it Pac-Man knockoff, in this one. But after I die here, and I just run straight into the enemy, I will be moving on. Yes, so what am I going to look at next? See, I don't want to cover some of these because I think some of these could fit into a future stream anyway. But we'll see. Okay. Right. Let's go with Midway Space Zap, an Astrocade game. This one got dropped because I believe I played VER.B Roto, a different Astrocade game. But that meant that the game I was going to pair it up with also didn't get played. So this is, you can fire in 4 directions. You move to the direction you want to fire and you press fire. Very simple game. Case of aim and fire, aim and fire, aim and fire, aim and fire. But very obviously an Astrocade game. You've got the traditional Astrocade font, you know, that you see on Gorf and all that lot. Wizard of War. Same type of sound effects. Nice and simple. Maybe a bit too simple. But it's a space application. Yeah, I do like these Astrocade sounds. I mean, they're kind of chaotic. Doesn't have the speech that Gorf has, or Wizard of War has. But it still has that slightly random, but still satisfyingly 80s sound to it. I mean, it's not music. It's definitely not music. It's just sort of random sounds. But this is defend your base. And there's a colour overlay, I think, that gives this the colours, which is why when it flashes full white, it's got the gradient effect. But this is simplicity at its best, really, isn't it? It's a quick reaction test. Shoot where the bullets are coming from. Shoot the ships that are there too, if you can. And shoot this one. Timing. And it gets faster, it gets more challenging, as you can see. And it's got a nice, satisfying explosion. Who doesn't like a nice, good explosion? And I died, so it slowed down a bit. No, it's going easy on me now I've died. It was, now it's not. Bonus base. That's an extra life. Well, that sounds like an ambulance. Yeah, it is very whack-a-mole like though, you are correct. It's notice which one's finding. So, yeah, after each life you do get a moment's pause to, you know, gather your thoughts, gather your pace. Then it quickly gets fast again. Anyway, that is Space Warp. You get the idea. Space Zap, even. Now, what I find interesting is that the Astrocade home system had a game called Space Fortress. Now, this is a 78 home system, so it's kind of old. But let's load Space Fortress. Number of players 1. Number of bases. Bases you're live, so 5. Intensity 8. So the sounds are very similar, but the video resolution is lower. But this was the Astrocade home system rather than the Astrocade arcade system. The arcade hardware is clearly more powerful. But for some reason the game on this is called Space Fortress instead of Space Zap. I'm not quite sure why it's got a different name, because I believe, you know, that they're both official games from Bally. Midway. But obviously I start on intensity 8, so it's much more fast. It's much quicker from the off. But I've seen people who seem to think that the arcade hardware and the home hardware were the same thing. And they really weren't identical, otherwise the games would have been identical. I'm not sure the exact differences, but clearly there are no perfect ports between the systems. Although this is probably the closest of them. You know, this plays just like the arcade. It may have had 4 colours, but you do get a nice, satisfying explosion. It's now got more colours. I guess you get 4 colours at once or something like that. I don't know much about this hardware, but that's one of the reasons I wanted to pick it. There are a few other Astrocade games that I did want to show last month, and I don't think we've got around to a single Astrocade game in the streams. Some of them are actually quite good. I mean, there's another one I'm going to put on after this that's not a great game, but visually is quite appealing. So in fact, it looks more colourful than this, so maybe it's not a 4-colour system, or maybe they're using some tricks to get around it. But again, this is a very simple game. The home version here is not going to have any more advanced gameplay than you've already seen. It's just a case of quick reactions to get the points. Yeah, I mean, Wizard of War runs on Astrocade hardware. This is the home Astrocade system, but the original, the Space Zap version I was playing before was the arcade, which is the same hardware type of Wizards of War and Gorf, yes. The interesting thing with these early games on this type of system is you choose your number of lives. It asks you how many bases you want at the start, what difficulty you want at the start. It's not like a game that just gives you a set amount of lives and that's the game. It's basically games that are tailored to how you want to play them. 4 colours selectable from an 8-bit palette, not bad. Yeah, that's pretty good for a 70s system. The resolution doesn't seem great. again, this is a 70s system, and it can clearly move things around at a fair pace. And it makes nice crunchy explosions, which are probably deafening everybody trying to watch these streams. I apologise. I can just go like this. Oh, that doesn't work. That's a bad strategy. Enjoy more crunchy explosions. I think that was the final crunchy explosion because that one went on for much longer. It's game over. So there we go. That was comparing Space Zap on the Astrocade arcade hardware with Space Zap on the Astrocade home hardware. And while the gameplay is the same, they are clearly quite different. Now, there was an Astrocade game that when I was testing them caught my eye for being a bit more colourful. It doesn't play very well, but this is Mrs. Candyman. Or Miss Candyman. This was released in 1983, so I guess this is probably quite late on. By L&M Software Bit Fiddlers. An oxymoron. 1 player or 2 players? 5? No, I don't think 5's an option. 1. Normal, abnormal, insane. Abnormal. So actually it's not that much more colourful, is it? I think it's just that title screen and music. And the fact it's pink. But you move around in tiles in this one. And it's a Pac-Man type clone. But I think I was kind of impressed because it seemed to break the mould from the other games I'd seen on the Astrocade. With the nice animated intro. Although then you get to the game and it's kind of, well, it's just collect the dots, jump between the squares. And don't jump on the enemies. The sound hardware is Astrocade Custom. So it's Astrocade's... I don't know the exact specifications. I'm assuming it's got a noise generator based on the noise. But beyond that, I don't know. Gets a bit faster. Yeah, I mean, not a fantastic game in the end, but the presentation on the intro screens was really good. And yeah, the colour change effect is effective. I mean, if it's got 4 colours from an 8-bit palette, that's pretty good. I mean, a lot of older systems had a very limited palette, so being able to choose from a proper 8-bit palette is actually impressive. Now it's very fast. I guess this is some kind of bonus round though, because there's nothing to actually pick up. Now it's also very fast, and I died. Oh, I can't pick up the little guy there. I get an ambulance, and I get game over. So yeah, that's a look at 2 Astrocade games that I wanted to have a quick look at. You get the idea. Nice cycling palette there. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. Right. Now this was another one that got missed off the Namco sound fixers, unfortunately. And this is Steel Gunner 2. Now, wait, sorry, wrong option. I ran with window instead of mouse. That's on Wikipedia. I mean, I've not studied it, Bob. But yeah, this one improved with the engine sound fixers to Final Up and the like. Because previously, when you were playing this game, there was no machine gun fire sound. Now, Steel Gunner 1 and 2 seem like basically the same game. I'm not exactly sure what changed between them. But we'll play Steel Gunner 2. if you listen carefully, you can see the gun now makes a sound. When I'm firing, there's actually a gunshot sound. In all older versions of MAME, since this game was first emulated, there was no player gunshot sound. So again, this is actually a really big improvement to the sound quality, because it sounds weird to not have a gunshot sound in a game where you're shooting. Kind of reminds me of... Oh, don't shoot those. It kind of reminds me of the fixes that were made to the Gundam Final Shooting game, although entirely different way of going about the fix. That was a ROM loading issue. This was a a sound register readback issue. But the sound. Oh, I'm still shooting people on the shoot. The sound emulation improvements here just make it feel that little bit more complete. It's subtle, but the fact that it's not just silent when you shoot your gun does make a huge difference. Yeah, I've shot too many innocents. This game has a good intensity. It's fast paced. It pulls off this genre actually really well. Kind of reminds me a bit of Taito's Space Gun, but faster paced. And the sort of pseudo 3D is really good too. It's all done in sprites. And we've said before, Namco weren't really champions of sprite scalers, but here, I think Namco have actually done a really good job of the sprite scaler. And this is kind of more what you'd expect from Sega in terms of, the scaling sprites. In fact, this probably outdoes Sega in some ways. If you look at things like Line of Fire, they weren't as impressive. So I think Namco have actually done a really, really good job here of doing a sprite scaling shooter, which is very reminiscent of Sega. And where the hardware is not naturally as capable, they've got things like the gradient floor to sort of make up for it. So they've worked within the limitations of what their hardware was good at and wasn't good at. And they produced a really enjoyable game. I think the sound improvement, it makes a really big difference if you tried playing it before. A few days later in the police lab. So, oh, that's not good. Yeah, there might be really small fixes, but again, that's a really nice train effect there. But yeah, just you feel like your gun has power because it's got the sound. Before it just felt like some space weapon with no power to it, and you wondered how it's actually taking out all these enemies. It doesn't look like a laser, but it's the cohesion between the elements. They've got to work together. And just the smallest sound fix to a game can make it feel like an entirely different game. And to me, that's what's happened here. Oh, it's still shooting people I shouldn't shoot them. Again, it's another reason, say, having the sound fixes for the Yamaha chips, the FM sound is so important, because they have made a subtle improvement, a significant difference to so many games, and that's all pretty. I think that's all almost finalised now for the common chips. There haven't been any newly reported bugs. Everything that's been reported has been fixed. I mean, the issues that remain in some Mega Drive games with sound appear to be due to the base emulation rather than the sound emulation. Yes, Bob, I really do hate innocent civilians. They probably hired the wrong person for the job here, if they wanted the civilians to live. Night vision mode online. Normal vision active. Probably could do with the second player here actually to take out some of these targets. But yes, if you compare this to some of Sega's shooters, this is definitely a better game. I mean, Laser Ghost had style but wasn't much fun. Say Line of Fire. didn't really work that well. Sega obviously then started doing things like House of the Dead that were, you know, fantastic. But they were better at their driving games than their shooting games, I think. Nice little blood effects too. Especially on the innocent, no, the innocent civilians don't actually die, they just say ouch. So I don't know why I'm penalised for shooting them, to be honest. Effects like that, it's not just plain zooming, it's moving the camera around things. It's really clever. But yeah, this is one where I wasn't really sure what to pair it with for a home game. The one I've got on my list is the Mega Drive game Body Count, which is no, not a bad one. I'm not sure I'm going to play Body Count today. I might play it on another stream. I might do a Mega Drive stream at some point in June. Because Body Count is a gun target shooter. Completely different game to the PlayStation 3 game of the same name. Unrelated entirely, but the grey water effects here, it's just subtle. It's a few sprites on a gradient, but you can tell it's a really rough looking ocean. I think you have to be impressed by what Namco pulled off with this. Hardware may not have been up to Sega's Superscaler games in many senses, but they've used it to its fullest to produce something that is easily comparable, if not better in many ways. Alright, Andrea, take care. I'll see you next time. And say, it might be a week or so before I've got the next June stream prepared, because they will take a bit more effort while I, search down games that do fit a singular theme rather than, leftovers from the May stream, which is what this one is. But I hope to see you, on the next one, whenever that may be. So take care. Nice little jump effect there too. So this is my last credit on this one, and then I'll be moving on to another game. And yeah, I think I'm going to go for a 2.5 hour stream this time. So probably about 15-20 minutes remaining, because it's 11:30 now. And I don't really want to be up past midnight. So yeah, Steel Gunner 2 from Namco benefited very nicely from the recent fixes to the sound emulation. And if you haven't tried it before, try it in the latest version of the MAME, because it's definitely worth a look. Right. Now this is maybe there'll be a rail shooter stream, Super Vorteca. That would be a possible one. And Night Steven, yeah, it's pretty late here, isn't it? So again, I hope you're doing well and you have a good night's sleep. Take care. So Coleco, I did a Coleco game on the previous stream, I think, but there was another one that I wanted to cover, which is BC's Quest for Tires. But again, I didn't really know what to pair this with in terms of an arcade game, because this is very Moon Patrol-like, but I've already done Moon Patrol before. Also, you should really put a space between P1 and score, because otherwise it looks like an entirely different word. But also, I should learn to play the game. Let's jump. Up is jump. So yeah, it's a Moon Patrol-like game, where you can control your speed. You can speed it up. I wasn't really going to pair it with Superbike, because I've done Super... Oh, you duck under the branches there. But yeah, this was a fun little Moon Patrol-like game that I'm clearly not very good at. Or I've got... No, I think I must have... Oh, I know what I've done. Because the keypad on the original system is reversed. I've reversed it on here for another game that I was going to play. So I'd actually pressed play a 2-player game, which is not what I wanted to do at all. Unfortunately, that's the problem with keypads. A PC keypad is not the same layout as most of the old computer keypads or even phone keypads. So you have to remember, if you remap the keys, they're not going to be the same as the keys listed, you know, what's printed on the key. But if you don't remap the key, then anything that's using them sort of as an 8-way shooter is going to be wrong. You played the C64 version. There is no arcade version of this, Dan. This is the Colecovision version. So the closest arcade game I can think of to this is probably Moon Patrol. I have done Moon Patrol on a few streams, which is one of the reasons this didn't get included as a priority on the streams. Because I don't like to repeat games too often, and I think I'd already done Moon Patrol on 2 other streams, and I didn't really want to do Superbike again because it's not great. So unfortunately, this was sort of left without a proper pairing. Yeah, I've not played the C64 version. That surprised me actually, because the C64 hardware is definitely more capable than the Colecovision hardware. But maybe it's just a lazy port. You played Moon Patrol on a local IKEA. I don't think we had IKEAs when I was a kid, not that I remember. IKEA seems like a more recent thing to me, but maybe that's just exposure. When did IKEA arrive in the UK? I guess I was meant to grab onto the thing, wasn't I? Porky Bob. Porky. So yeah, again, I'd done Porky already, so I couldn't really pair it with something like Porky. I was kind of out of games to pair this without repeating a game. And so I think this is a harder difficulty. But yeah, I found this enjoyable when I played it. And you do control your speed with your 2 buttons. You've got slow down and speed up. So now I can hammer this button and go much faster. See? Got quite a fair pace to it now. That's far too fast. So yeah, that's why this one's ended up in the stream anyway, because it's like I think you have to go a bit slower here. You can't possibly duck under these things at speed 70. I'm going to try. You've got to jump back. Yeah, speed 70 is a bit fast. Okay. And that is BC's Quest for Tyres on the Colecovision. And yeah, I kind of like to play that again at some point, but for now we'll move on. And again, we're going to go with a home system game, although I've got a whole list of arcade games I didn't cover. I mean, this could be like a 10-hour stream on its own, to be quite honest. No, let's go with an arcade game. Let's go with an arcade game. This one got dropped from the Racers stream. This is Pocket Racer by Namco. This is on PlayStation type hardware, Namco System 11. And this is a cut down version of Ridge Racer. it's a very odd thing with sort of oversized cars. Presentation is very much like the Speed Racer game here, with the checkered flag and the title. So, you know, let's do the track. Well, I've got plans for tomorrow, unfortunately, Dan, so I can't be streaming for 10 hours. I was up until late watching BBH's stream last night, where I think he spent the whole time trying to one credit clear final fight. Oh, at least five hours into the stream, he was still trying to one credit clear final lap. Not final lap, final fight. I mean, I'm sure he could complete final lap much more easily than final fight. Okay, this is a very strange game because obviously it's is it configured for? No, it's not configured for pad at all. In fact, my pad is not even enabled right now. Okay, never mind. My pad's not working. But so it's the Ridge Racer Trax and Ridge Racer design, but with PlayStation hardware and super deformed cars. But yeah, I need a better control system. Hold on, let me try running it with mouse, see if mouse steering's any better. Look at those rims. I don't believe they're any cows though, cow. Sorry, yeah, when I had the blue screens earlier, I unplugged all the oh dear, no, I don't seem to have any control. I think my sensitivity might be slightly off here. We'll see though. Okay. My controls are now completely broken. This is going well, isn't it? Okay, so yeah, I don't know what's going on with this. I'm just going to have to increase the digital sensitivity, I think, and try again. Because when I enabled mouse, I could no longer turn right, which was not helpful. But yeah, I have no idea what really inspired Namco to do this one, or why they didn't just, you know, release it on the System 22 hardware. But I suppose the fact it exists, I think it had a PlayStation release, so they probably just cheaply ported it. It's very strange to see the Ridge Racer course with entirely different graphics running on inferior hardware in the arcades. But that's exactly what this one is. And again, I should have paired this with Ridge Racer on a stream, but I just didn't get around to it. It's as simple as that. I mean, I looked at a lot of Namco 3D racing games, and I went for the more obscure ones, the ones that maybe people didn't know. I thought Ridge Racer was maybe a bit too common, and therefore this one got cut from the streams because I didn't cover Ridge Racer, and that was the natural pairing for this one. So, you know, that's again the decision process that sometimes happens. If the stream, if I had time on the stream, I would have got to this one, but I just ran out of time and didn't do Ridge Racer and didn't do this one. Yeah, PlayStation release. So they probably didn't want to spend the effort actually making a proper arcade version on the System 22 hardware. They just ported the PlayStation release, which makes sense. But at the same time, it might have been nice to have a proper more visually pleasing System 22 version of this one. It doesn't need it, but I think arcade players might have been more impressed. But no, it's just the same as the PlayStation game. It's lost that extra little flair, the high resolution textures that the arcade hardware had. It almost feels like it's meant to be a bonus mode in a Ridge Racer. You play other games and they'll have like a big head mode or big wheels mode, and this feels like that. But it was released as its own game, and it does have significantly different handling. It doesn't handle like Ridge Racer itself. It handles more like a kart racer. I mean, Ridge Racer doesn't have serious handling. It has the ridiculous, drifting mechanics that you have to really work out how to work, because they don't work like drifting mechanics on most other games you've played. The arcade version was earlier, was it? That's even more curious then. Obviously, it's a Japanese release. I'm guessing it was never localized. But this is the track from the original Ridge Racer, Dan. It is the Ridge Racer track. I mean, I can probably put on Ridge Racer after this, actually. Although, I think controls might annoy me on that one a little, because I've not spent time configuring it. And this has got the 2 tracks. This is the first track. Was it the Rave Racer course? I don't remember now. I get them mixed up. But this is kind of bouncy. There's a fly in here now. I don't know where the fly came from. It's annoying me. I won't be doing Breaking Bad episodes. Now the collisions I don't really like, because you seem to collide with objects way before you actually hit the edge of the track. Yeah, Namco did like to reuse the courses. I mean, somebody mentioned that one of the final lap courses, I think the Green Hill one, is the same course that's used in Cyber Cycles. But yeah, I'll put Ridge Racer on after this, actually. And if I can play it, I'll play it. If I can't, I won't. Because I have noticed my pad's not currently configured. Time Crisis advert there, you see. What's that advert for? I wasn't close enough. But yeah, again, there you're colliding against the edge of the track before you think you should. Relatively, this seems like quite an easy racing game, so I'm wondering if it was also designed more for a younger audience, which might be why they've gone for this look and the cheaper hardware. Yes, I know, it's the final lap. I wonder if Namco have a trademark on final lap, as in the final lap, or if it's just too generic. I wonder if they applied. They probably applied, didn't they? Yeah, a lot of arcade races are the same. I mean, I said that when I was looking at the Hyper Neo Geo games, that each of those races got 3 tracks and that's it, and they're really short tracks. So together they feel like maybe a complete game. On their own, you've just not got the content. But so many arcade races have like 1 or 2 tracks, and once you've mastered it, that's it. See, I mean, I'm not playing well, and I've still managed to finish first. Yeah, that's my feeling with this one. Best drives. It feels too easy to be a a full spec Namco racer. Oh dear. Anyway, ignore your statements, Bob. Okay, I'll ignore your statements, Bob. So yeah, I'm not good at Ridge Racer. The controls probably aren't configured in any way. I can't use my pad right now. I'm going to have to try and digital it out. Shift up, shift down. Okay. Yeah, this isn't going to work well. Because you can't do the proper drifts without the so you can't do your proper drifts without proper analog controls. So this is just to show, you know, the original Ridge Racer, which is a first-person game. You can't get the third-person view, as far as I know. Which again is one reason I don't really play Ridge Racer, because I don't really play, you know, this type of view on racing games. Every racing game I play, the first thing I do is I'll switch to the, you know, the third-person view. No, I can't drift on keyboard. But you can see it's the same track design. There are still some issues with the System 22 video emulation. Some of the other games I think highlight it more so than Ridge Racer, but because the video emulation is known to have flaws, everything on the system gets marked. Yeah, but you can't really play this on a keyboard. But it does run very well in MAME. So if you do like Ridge Racer, you can see how much more difficult this is. You know, I'm 8th. No, I mean, it's not really even... You've not got the any of your instruments in front of you. You can't see your speedo. You are literally tied to the front of the car, as you say. I believe is it Rage Racer lets you do different views. But I mean, this is a famous Namco game. So finger off the gas, tap brake. Yeah, you have to master it, I guess. It's probably kind of. I've played less playable games on keyboard, but yeah, you have to get the timing right. But even on, you know, real controls, it just feels like you have to find the right place on the course to do your skid, and then you autopilots you through it. It doesn't feel natural. At least that's how I feel about the, you know, the Ridge Racer games in general. Oh, it's a new record, but it's not a good performance. Digital steering is hard mode. It is Ridge Racer. It is Ridge Racer. Yeah, I mean, there are a few Japanese games based on toys. The other Namco Playrail game is as well. I think I missed that one off stream as well. That was a potential one to play, but I never got around to it. There were so many games I didn't get around to playing, to be fair. I just wanted to cover a few of them on the stream. Say this is another one. Taito racing game I didn't get to play. Power Wheels, also known as Double Axle. Shifter is... Okay. Ridge Racer... Yeah, it'd be nice to get a proper dump of Ridge Racer full scale at some point, Cal. This is another one of those Taito racing games that feels like Taito weren't really at their best when it was made. But we'll have a look at it. Now, I was going to pair this one up with the Radica Plug and Play, which again, in the end, I didn't manage to get to either. One of the reasons is I don't think I'd spent enough time researching the games, configuring the games, or playing the games, or knowing what I'm doing in the games. You know, it might not always come across, but I do try and play the games before I cover them, so I get somewhere in them. And this one and the Radica Plug and Play I had not tried recently, so I couldn't remember how to properly configure the controls. I mean, the Radica Plug and Play I believe is still marked as not working because I was never happy with my control hookup on it. It kind of, I mean, the way some of the controls hook up on those Plug and Play games is confusing. And there's so many different ways to hook up analog controls. Some of them just use like timed inputs, basically timed interrupts. Others read them via the ADC. Others time the difference in button presses and treat that like a power. And that's meant to be a swing power, but it's sub-frames, so you can't just map it to a button and expect it to work. Yeah, this is another one of those games with quite a poor draw distance. Maybe too much going on. Again, considering the great racing games Taito made, even on the same hardware as this, it doesn't really hold up. Your pop-in's too bad. You hardly get any chance to react to anything. These are meant to be big, powerful monster trucks, and it never feels satisfying. I'm not sure if I'm meant to be crashing into things or racing or what. My track feels like. The track feels like it's floating in mid-air. The visual effects feel like they're trying to be power drift, but without coming close. It's also not a patch on Buggy Boy, which has the bumpy mechanics. You see, that's even got the drive up the side of the cliff there, just like Buggy Boy, but half as convincing. I don't know. Maybe this game has its fans, but I could never get into it. I think that's another reason I put it off. It's just like, well... Listen, Bigfoot on the NES were the only monster truck games you had before Monster Jam. I'm trying to think of any other ones. I can't think of any proper monster truck games from back in the day. Game over. So yeah, I don't know. This one just never really clicked with me. But if we look at the Radica Monster Truck game briefly, I think the controls are going to be a pain on this. Now this one, it says it's not still marked as not working because I think the control. I'm not happy with my control hookup. This is a really curious Zavix game because every other Zavix game uses a standard set of code, which appears to be, you know, the SDK you got with what the Zavix hardware, whereas this is completely its own code base. Everything is done in a very different way to any other game. It uses video modes nothing else uses. It shares no code whatsoever. It's like, okay. So, what are my controls? Oh, yeah. This is what I mean. If you create a device. Hey Martin, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, if you create a device that's a control device and add it to the driver, it automatically treats it as if it's player 2 when it's not. It's not paddle 2 at all, it's paddle 1. So we've got that. Got throttle low, throttle high, nitro, horn, reverse back. So throttle high is, oh, that's high speed. Okay. Okay, that's high speed. That's low. Okay, let's just reset. Well, let's just reload even. I've got the monster truck game on the PS3, but the slowdowns are too bad for me to enjoy it, especially in 2-player mode where it's basically not even playable. But yeah, the early ones I'm not so familiar with. So yeah, this is a perspective racing game. There was a plug and play. The controller was a giant monster truck thing with a steering wheel on it. You've got weapons to take the other cars out with if you collect them. But so the most interesting thing about this was just the fact it's so different in terms of the code base to every other Zavix game. And I don't know why. Did they not trust the original Zavix SDK, or did they originally write the game for something else and just port it the best they could to Zavix? It's a bit of a mystery because it is very much the exception to the rule. It's very much, you know, do it in-house rather than use what you were provided with. You do have turbos that I need to use at some point. Although I've used them up now and not got very far. Now the sound emulation is not perfect, although the Zavix sound... I mean, the Zavix sound hardware is really good. The Radica games don't make good use of it, but this one seems to, again, because it's probably doing things its own way, ends up slightly disagreeing with my hookup. But this is actually alright for a plug and play. I'm not showing it to, you know, the best, but it's got various different modes. I mean, you've got a demolition mode here as well, for example. So if you like your monster trucks, you do get a good selection of different modes based on, you know, a monster truck experience. So this is, you know, bash the opposition, destroy the opposition. They've got health, you've got health. You find the power-ups and then you fire at them. So again, yeah, it's your demolition derby type mode. And you've got your little grid up there by the time. It's a very tiny grid, but it shows you where everything is. Get the power up. It's not beeping because that's not useful. You've got you've got your turbo, which can be handy for ramming things. I've got a bomb now I can leave on the course. There you go. I've got another bomb that I can leave there. If they run over the bomb, they blow up. Again, oh, I ran over my own bomb, which is not a clever thing to do. And it's got like a King of the Hill mode as well, where you're trying to knock players into a pit at the top and things like that. But yeah, I mean, this company that did this also, I think, did a few GBA games. I think, is it the company that did the Driver game? I can't remember. I know they did some noteworthy Game Boy Advance game. I think it was the Driver one. Obviously, this doesn't really compare to any of those. But I'm curious to know what the story was behind this and why they went their own route with, you know, the development, and why the code base has got so little in common with any other Zavix game. Because it must have been an active choice. I mean, I have talked to developers who tried to do Zavix stuff before and just gave up, and they sent me their code and their notes, which is where some of the emulation came from. And that they were a company that tried to do their own stuff and forgot to disable the interrupts on their own tests, and therefore their tests didn't work on hardware and they just gave up doing Zavix stuff. But none of their stuff got released. But the tests, once fixed, were quite useful for debugging some of the emulation. You notice the pickups are Play TV logos, which is the Radica brand of plug and play. But, who is still in this race other than me? There's got to be another car that's not completely trashed. Otherwise, I would not still be going here. I think it's that one because it's not completely dark. That truck ain't going nowhere. So if I keep bashing you, does this help? I can't remember exactly how to knock the trucks out. Yeah, I think you just keep bashing the trucks and they eventually fail. But yeah, I think this is alright. Obviously you want it on original hardware. Plugged in a TV. The novelty is the controller. So somebody else is out. Yeah, okay, I win. You see, all the other trucks got destroyed. And there you go. So the monster truck plug and play. That didn't get covered because, like I said, I didn't really know what to say about Power Wheels, and I wasn't entirely sure how to best demonstrate the plug and play. Just one of those things. I think I'll go with another game. This one got excluded on performance reasons. This is Taito's Side by Side, which runs on a 68040 at 20 MHz. But it uses the MMU. But I think it ends up pretty much doing a one-to-one mapping of everything, but because it's all going through the MMU, it ends up quite slow. So it's okay now, but it only just, it just drops below 100% on mine. I think it was about 80%. But my main issue with this one is, despite running at 100%, I think it's only running at half speed. It updates every other frame and feels very slow. So I think there's an interrupt problem in the driver causing it to actually run too slowly. And obviously if it was to run at full speed, the performance would be even worse in MAME. But again, this is very, very quiet. Let me turn this up. Let me turn this right up. I think I should have probably done that in service mode, but now MAME tells me this is running at 100% speed or 99% speed, but to me it feels like it isn't. I mean, if we no, I've got to change my view. I feel this is half speed. And I think in older versions it might have updated every frame. But if we pause it and we go single step it, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It updates every third frame. And I couldn't find any original hardware videos, but if you look at the timer at the top, that's meant to be seconds. 60, 59, 58. It feels a bit too slow. I think it maybe should update every second frame or even every frame. But I don't know. So this was just a gut instinct that this isn't really running well enough to show properly on stream. Yeah, every third frame is in N64. I have not heard that Virtua Fighter 5 is coming to the PS4. No. But, I don't care. It's not Final Lap. It's not Final Lap cow. Also, it seems quite late to bring Virtua Fighter 5 to the PS4, doesn't it? Or is Virtua Fighter 5 a new one? I don't know. I have a Virtua Fighter game somewhere on the PS3 and hardly ever played it. So yeah, I'm getting 94% speed in MAME on this, but it doesn't feel fast enough to me. But again, I don't have an original reference, so I can't tell you. The actual visuals hold up really well, though. I mean, the the driver renders things really well, and it's one of the earlier 3D games to run, but I just think there might be an interrupt problem or a timer problem. Unless somebody finds an original reference and shows me that this does update every 3rd frame. It's a PS Plus exclusive that just happens to be free. Oh, that's handy. I have PS Plus, although I don't really like... Again, I don't like the PS Plus that much because it's digital and it's tied to a subscription, so as soon as you cancel the subscription you don't get the game anymore. I'm not a fan of modern gaming markets. I'll probably give it a shot at some point. But yeah, this is not a bad looking game, side by Taito. But it's one I'm probably going to show again on a... Unless somebody proves otherwise, I'm probably going to do it on a stream where I look at games that may not be emulated quite correctly. Because it feels off to me. It feels pedestrian. This feels like it should be faster and more intense. But it's quite nice to look at. So that's why that one got dropped. Oh, let's go back to the Spectrum. I think this might be the last one I do on the stream, actually. Oh, and let's turn the volume right down because, yeah, I just turned it right up. Now, this is something called Games Designer. But Games Designer is maybe a misleading name because it's really a shoot-'em-up designer. And I think this was one of my first experiences of a game-making package that let you change a lot of variables about the game. And it comes with like about 8 built-in games. They're all quite simple. But this is one I had as a kid that I really enjoyed. So let's just speed through the loading. So you're presented with this menu, and you can select new games, so you can select between 1 and 8. You can alter the sprites, so you get an entire set of sprites there you can change if you want to. Enter to finish. So you don't really want to enter. You can change the movement patterns, that they go up, down, left, right, depending on the keys. You draw a little wiggly pattern which shows the pattern they're going to move in. You can edit the attack waves when they appear, what animation. This is from 83. You can save and load your configurations. So yeah, you draw your sprites, you make the attack patterns and all sorts of that. All sorts of things like that. Icebeard. A lot of the main work on Laserdiscs is going to depend on the Domesday 86 project, which is the efforts to do like professional quality captures of them. And once that's in a workable format that MAME can use, we'll probably end up having a lot of the Laserdisc games working, although the images will be very big. But if you look at the Domesday work, the quality is better than DVD quality for most of them. It's really, really good, so it's worth the wait. But yeah, so the tool let you create your own little shoot 'em up games where I'm going to have to try and remember what the keys were. There we go. So yeah. But obviously this is very simple. It's not a complex game that you make with it, but it was an introduction for me to sort of making your own games, designing attack patterns, designing sprites, designing sounds. I mean, this is Spectrum beeper sounds, but it's got almost like a sound editor where you can select the attack and decay and everything else on the sounds. And I just really enjoyed this. You clear up the wave of enemies. You get a different wave of enemies. And you can edit these waves. You can change them. The built-in, you can modify the built-in games to act in different ways. And I spent absolutely hours on this as a kid, just modifying the games, changing how things worked. adding new enemies, redesigning things. And you can do games like this. You can do your horizontal scrollers. If you select a new game, let's have a look at game 2. Or you can do things like this. This is more your vertical shooter, your Space Invaders type thing. The spec is quite kind of unique in how the graphics work. It's basically a bitmap layer, but it's got really odd addressing, and it's got the attribute RAM for the colours. I've not really studied the Berserk video hardware to say how much Berserk it has in common with Berserk. Anyway, so you get your shooter like that. Select new game. Select game 3. What's game 3? Game 3 is another shooter like this, but this time they drop in bombs on you. And I always remember this as being the game where you shoot the space hurdles, because they look like Olympic hurdles, but they're space enemies. They change colour, they flicker, and it's these graphics are kind of ingrained in my mind. So we'll select game 4. Game 4 is an entirely different. This one you're rotating. So you rotate left and right, and you shoot the. You can move around, but mainly it's asteroids-like. Again, very different. But yeah, I mean, Berserk does clearly have some kind of colour clash type issue with the walls and your players, so I guess there might be some similarities. It's just not one I've studied. So that's that one. Select new game. Game 5. Oh, this one you've got free directional movement in the middle of the screen. And again, you could select from any of these game modes and customize them. This is game 6. Yeah, this is a witchy shooter. Let's go where they go bang. So again, this one's kind of similar to the other ones you've seen. Game 6. No, that was game 6. Game 7. Oh, this one you don't fire. This one you actually have to get in close to attack the enemies. I didn't like this one as a kid because you can't fire. You have to get right next to them and attack them, and they go splat. But for the time it was released, this is a really versatile little games designer program. Basically, shoot 'em up designer. I just spent a lot of time with, and I wanted to find a place to put this on the stream, but you can't really compare it to anything in the arcades, and so I couldn't find a single thing to really pair it with. I was tempted to just pair it with something really obscure. Well, not obscure, but something that people might not consider a shooter, like Paperboy, where it's got shooter mechanics, but it's not a shooter. But then I thought it's a bit of a stretch to try and compare something like that, just because I'm trying to fit two really odd things together. I think it was an 8th game as well, wasn't there? Select game 8. Again, another fairly traditional shooter on this one. But you get the idea. I mean, this is part of my childhood. I think there the odd new Spectrum game developed using that, actually. No, I'm not currently writing any homebrew, Bob. I mean, my time is taken up with actual MAME stuff, really. 3 hours to VF5. I'll have to remove a few things from my PS5 before I install that, actually, if I want to have a look at it. I'm kind of full up on the drive. Games Designers screams DigiPen. I mean, the Nintendo's, or was it the PlayStation system? I think maybe the SNES and the PlayStation had a Japanese shoot 'em up development kit, and the FM Towns has got one. So that kind of thing did exist in Japan. But say that was at 83 on the Spectrum, so there weren't many things like that around at the time. And so, I mean, I wouldn't have played it in 83 because I would have been 2 years old. But I had a tape with that on the Spectrum and really enjoyed it, probably like 88, 87, 88, something like that. I can't remember exactly when I got my Spectrum, but Final Lap 4 will be 2 terabytes. Anyway, yeah, we are over 3 hours now. We've just ticked over 3 hours, and it's gone midnight here. So I think that is where I'm going to end this stream. There were plenty more games I didn't get to cover last month, but I did want to show some of those and talk about some of the fixes, and that's where we ended up. I will try and plan the rest of the June streams over the next week or so, and yeah, MAME is kind of homebrew. That this is true. I mean, it is a project. It's a very professional project these days, but it is something that is built from the community. That is true. But I can understand the question is about developing maybe new games for older systems, and I've always been curious. I kind of want to maybe do something for the Amstrad CPC or the Spectrum, but MAME is a full-time job. Streaming is a full-time job. Any kind of original software development for those systems is a full-time job in many senses. You have to research the development techniques, optimization, making things run well. And I've not found time to do that yet. Maybe in the future, maybe when I run out of things I actually want to do on MAME and the streams wind down a bit, I'll start to look at that type of thing. But port final up to the Amstrad. Amstrad has a few good races already, Cal. Maybe I'll have a look at them in a future stream. Far better than Final Lap. But anyway, yes, thank you to everybody. It's been a slightly quieter chat this time, I think. Slightly quieter stream, but I don't blame people. This is just the odds and ends stream from last month, and it's a bit late, a bit impromptu, but it's been good. I mean, everybody seems to be having a good time, and there's been lots of conversation. So thank you to everybody. Thank you, Aussie Guy, Icebeard, Cow, Peter, Bob, Dan, John, and Super Volteca, Mick, Mess Drivers, Fellow Jasper, RO9. I can't score forever, but yes, there's been plenty of you in the chat. Andrea, who left earlier. Yeah, it's good to hear from everybody. And Bob with his random fact of the day, which is it's Milk Day, I believe. So all good. I will see, and Rockman, of course, yes. So I will see you all on the next one, which I don't know when it's going to be, but I've got to plan it. So take care, everybody, and I'll see you soon.